Hello everyone, Zeak here, and today we are moving on to the cruiser, the Empress of direct firepower and tank. For this game, this ship will bring chaos and destruction wherever she flies. A mobile heavy weapons platform capable of reducing infrastructure to scrap in a few minutes. Truly a lumbering giant of a vessel, she will bring the heavy cannons that will do the job and the durability to survive it. I don't think I'll ever leave the bridge of this ship. Let's talk more about the ship in general before we get to armament. Out of all the capital class ships, she will most likely be the slowest and the least agile. I say that because I believe this ship, while not the largest, in my opinion, has the best reinforced hull and the thickest armor. She is a tank after all and specializes in being focused while your smaller ships can get in position and do their job. However, her size makes her vulnerable to strike-craft bombers as she will primarily have large turrets being used for taking down other capitals or infrastructure. Now we know gravity is in the game and it does affect ships. But does it affect capitals engaging in orbital bombardment? I guess it could if the vessel has to get close to the planet. It would give it an exposure to the enemy that suddenly shows up. Think about it. This ship has poor maneuverability. And now it's focusing its engines to keep it from getting too close to the floating death sphere it's glassing. Its turning speed, in theory, should be reduced further. Though with anti-orbital ground weapons, or AO from now on, they would need to bring a wing of bombers before they could attempt to lay waste to the planet. As mentioned for the destroyer, if it has the AGG, it could descend to the planet. However, as it should be the heaviest, it would require the AGG to use the most amount of power out of the three capital classes. As for weapons, the ship will be able to hold every capital class cannon under the sun, so it's best to talk less about the weapons themselves, and more on their function. Some starting ideas would be close-range brawler powerhouses to standoff range support role. The close range could have large AP potential, so armor becomes less of an issue, while the long range are more about peppering the enemy down. Long-range missiles or sniper cannons come to mind here. This would allow for more equipment slot types, which I will get to a little later. These two types of weapons are in more of a generalized role and are solely focused on damage. The next idea could be charged cannons. These would have a very long range, but low projectile speed, unless of course they're lasers, making them far better at taking out stations or even orbital bombardment. Though if a ship does stand still long enough, it's going to get a new access port. The rest of the ship-to-ship weapons would be special stat-affecting weapons like ion cannons that kill shields and mess with systems of a ship, energy-draining weapons to inhibit a ship's ability to fire or use abilities, tractor beam, or even special rounds that latch on and continue to produce thrust for a short time, hindering the movement of other ships, also called a leech round. Generic weapons from other space titles, yes, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't be used in the game, or at least be used as thoughts for ideas. Now I would like to mention, for these weapons, I'm referring to primary, secondary, and turret weapon types. Now to the equipment slots I talked about. There could be extra armor pieces that could reduce damage or even lessen the effects of AP rounds. The next could be extra hull parts that not only give more hull points, but more space for turrets and the like. Whether or not these could just add more hardpoint slots or actual structure being added is something best left to the devs. Just some ideas that hit me while writing this. Now, after writing this discussion, I saw a 3D model of a few ships, and among them was the cruiser. It was just a base design, no textures or anything, and I noticed that the cruiser had what looked like two hangar bays on the ship, one on the port side and one on the starboard side. I'm not sure if they intended this design to be the original carrier design and just left them there. These hangars are intended as some sort of loading and unloading for supplies, or if the cruiser can act like a mini carrier itself. The latter would give it some versatility to its role and would be rather interesting as something it can add in as a module or something. For now, I leave weapons as generic ideas, as I want specifics to be a topic of their own. After a long thought process, ideas from the forums and YouTube comments, I will form my thoughts on this at a later date. As always, please leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below, and until then, help keep space epic.